When Megan was very young, that terrible fire happened. She did not remember all the details of that nightmare. Only the scar on her neck was a reminder of the event. Cosmetic surgery was very expensive, and Megan's parents could not afford it, so she had to live with it. She was so worried about her ruined appearance that she was constantly shy and hardly spoke to any of her peers. Her parents tried to talk to their daughter, then took her to a psychologist, but nothing helped. Megan had an especially hard time at school, where classmates constantly mocked her, pointed fingers at her, scornfully hurled insults, and said that no one would ever love such a freak. Megan did not even dream of love. She tried not to pay attention to boys and, in high school, always wore turtlenecks with a high collar and covered her neck with scarves and shawls. The scar became a serious psychological problem for the girl. She felt like an ugly monster, particularly when receiving caustic remarks from classmates. And even though everyone knew about the girl's scar, she constantly feared that someone would see it. Megan didn't notice that she was a very good-looking girl in appearance. She had a figure that many would have envied, and it caused a burning envy in her classmates. So they intensified their bullying to convince the girl of her ugliness. One day, Paul, a boy from the graduating class, asked Megan if she would go on a date with him. Megan was so sure that no one could like her like that without a second thought she turned him down. She sobbed in her room at home for a long time after that. She had liked Paul for a long time, but there were always a lot of pretty girls around him, and Megan knew that with her scar, she had nothing to count on. And so, when Paul suddenly suggested dating, Megan immediately decided that he probably was just likely to have a bet with someone, and it made her unbearably sad. She could not understand how he could make fun of a person who was already punished by fate, and she tried to stay away from Paul after that. Soon, he finished school and went somewhere else to study further. Megan stopped seeing him, but she was unable to forget him. 2 years later, Megan graduated from high school and enrolled in medical school. She made the choice because she wanted to help people just like her, the lost and sick. The girl dreamed of becoming an accomplished surgeon. But to make her dreams come true, she had to study a lot and undergo an internship as an assistant surgeon in a well-established hospital. At university, Megan did not communicate with anyone here either, carefully masking her scar, fearing that the humiliation and insults would continue here as well. Megan devoted all her time to her studies, stubbornly moving towards her goal, and after completing her internship, where she showed good results, she received an offer to work in one of the best clinics in the city. Megan was surprised when she found out that she was assigned as an assistant to Paul, the same boy who she had refused to date. Even more surprisingly, Megan discovered that her feelings for him still troubled her. She tried not to communicate with him, but he was very talkative and constantly shared his knowledge with Megan. One day, she couldn't stand it any longer and asked Paul why he went into medicine, because she had heard from acquaintances that he was going to become a pilot. She asked and immediately realized that she had given herself away by such awareness of a boy she had once rejected. "Because of you, I was hurt after your rejection, but I understood the reason for this closeness of yours," Paul answered quietly. And, coming close to the young woman, he carefully removed the silk handkerchief from her neck. Megan was astonished. She looked at him and could not say a word. Meanwhile, he gently ran his finger over the scar and said that he had never considered it as an ugly thing, but, seeing how Megan behaved, decided to become a doctor and help people to fight their fears and diseases. Megan listened breathlessly and mentally berated herself for pushing him away once, but now it was too late to change anything. "You're too wrapped up in this, and you're still hiding it. But it's not your fault after all. Maybe the little frightened girl drew a problem in her mind and began to think she was ugly, and the insults from stupid classmates only made the problem grow bigger. But for me personally, I don't see anything awful here. Why are you trying to hide something that's already almost completely invisible? Look in the mirror, Megan. Can't you see how beautiful you are? I could, of course, arrange for you to have an operation, but why put your body through the strain if it's not absolutely necessary? I wish you'd let me say that long ago, Paul said quietly, watching with interest as Megan cautiously looked at herself in the mirror. You should have become a psychologist, muttered the woman, watching her reflection with surprise. She didn't usually like to look in the mirror to avoid seeing her ugliness, but now the scar didn't seem so scary anymore. It hadn't changed much. It was just a little lighter, but it didn't look awful and didn't spoil her appearance at all. Megan felt the tears coming. She closed her eyes and listened to Paul's voice, telling her how beautiful she was. She turned around abruptly and realized that Paul was standing right in front of her, so close that Megan was even a little scared. They met eyes, and sparks flew between them. Megan trembled, and when Paul told her that he still loved her and that he had never met anyone like her, she cried and let him hold her. A year later, Paul and Megan got married and were happy. The young woman finally realized that she had to accept herself for who she was. So, a little later, for a party of former classmates, she wore a beautiful and figure-accentuating dress with open shoulders, along with beautiful makeup and hair. When her former classmates, who had previously mocked her, saw her as she had become, they could not take their eyes off her and were shocked into silence. Megan was uninhibited, forgot about her scar, and didn't even try to hide it. When Paul entered, all the women in the hall realized how wrong they had been before. Paul and Megan were glowing with happiness and love for themselves, for each other, and for those around them, and there was no one more beautiful in the hall. They showed no dislike for the abusers from the past and chatted with anyone who tried to strike up a conversation. Later, Megan often went to meetings of people who faced a similar situation and told her story, offering a choice between surgery and self-acceptance.